Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Kiflo Roundtable. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to wait maybe just like 1 minute. These are very, very fast events. They're 30 minutes. So we're going to wait maybe 1 or 2 minutes till people show up. Please have your questions ready because we have such a great conversation today. We are joined by Justin Zimmerman, founder of Partner Playbooks, and Martin Scholz, co-founder of Partner Experience, and they are here to help you out with everything partner recruitment related. So please, please, please have your questions ready for them. And in the meantime, I just wanted to let you guys know that we are going to be having these Kiflo roundtables monthly. So these are a new offering that we are doing where we invite our greatest minds in partnerships participants to come back and answer your questions in real time on a very particular topic in the partnerships journey. So today is partnership recruitment. We are going to start with just a brief. Do you guys want to introduce anything before we jump into the conversation? Justin and Martin, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hey, hi everybody. Some of you guys, I see some names and faces on here I recognize. Ishan and Kelly and Zhao, Helen Morose, Ola. These are some of my friends, Jennifer Phillips. So good to see you guys on here. Welcome. And I'm going to cover today something that got published on Crossbeam last year at this time that's going to walk you through basically a step-by-step approach that I use to find targeted great partners, both tech partners and influencers that are hidden in your customer database.
Thank you so much, Justin. I'm really looking forward to that. I've talked to you a little bit about it, but I'm excited to dive into it a bit deeper. So maybe
cool.
Go ahead, Martin. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to take the opportunity to also say hi. And apparently, with Justin in the room, there's a great playbook ahead of everyone to really find the best way to find tech partners specifically. I'd like to add maybe 1 or 2 cents from my perspective on different partner types, as it apparently always depends what kind of partner are you looking for and what does your own product look like. So there might be, I hope there are like 1 or 2 cents I can add to what Justin shares later as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. So let's jump in. I don't want to waste any time. I know there's probably a lot of questions around this. We've seen so much of the marketplace shifting, changing, people being laid off, people being hired, partnerships happening, and everybody is looking to bring in that money, make those partnerships work. And the first step of that is partner recruitment. So Justin, why don't you kick it off and share a bit about your playbook, and then we'll hand it over to Martin, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, so there's just always a certain amount of cost to time in finding, vetting, and working with partners. And so I wanted to make sure that I could locate and find the best partners that would align with us and also go to market as well. And in the broad marketplace of partners, if you look at a MarTech map, if you're in SaaS, there's 10,000 potential partners out there, and so there's just no realistic way to like sort, sift, and choose, validate, and prioritize any of those in certain way. And so I went back to my old school friend, the customer success team, and onboarding, and came up with a playbook that allowed me to work with those teams, work with those success agents, work with the onboarding team, work with the team in charge of collecting those little surveys that get asked, and to get inserted one single question: How'd you hear about us? And through that process, the pipeline of partners, the pipeline of influencers along the way gets revealed. And so for me, just the why guess when you can ask, and when you build a backlog of customers who successfully and consistently tell you who's telling them about what products, where in what group, they're hearing about your product or service, what CSM or sales rep at another company is telling you that they're using it, what coach or trainer, what blog they're reading. I mean, the repository that you can create of just rich clues that lead back, if you reverse engineer them, into warm partnership leads, allowed me to create a backlog of, well, if customers are already choosing our product and making the decisions in the marketplace with or without us, I better know who those people are and what those decisions are. And so why try to be smarter than the market and smarter than the customers when I can just go ask and build a backlog of those most common sources and referrals to then make those, I would call, warm leads, not cold outreach, to then build relationships with those companies and influencers. And so for me, the short version of the playbook, without getting into tactics and graphics and MarTech and what do you say, what's the copy, and all the enablement internally that you need to go through to get this. But once you do get it, the key concept to take away is your customers will tell you your best partners and who they're already working and talking with. And all you need to do is capture that and get enough traction with enough of those types of customers that match with your ICP, and then go off into the market and find those partners and make relationships, leveraging those conversations. And just one quick key takeaway I would add to that is use Loom or a tool to record them like Descript. And then you've got these little mini partner testimonial videos, which I've created, that I send off to those other companies and teams. And so it's not just me telling them, it's the voice of the customer talking about both our products and how they're using them that opens those doors and gets inside those companies in a way that just a cold email or cold DM or, hey, we've got this great idea. Everybody's got a lot of great ideas. What you need are proven use cases from actual customers that you can demonstrate prior to even beginning the initiation, where you're essentially pre-qualifying who might be your best partners.
That's incredible. Yeah. And we've heard it time and time again, but partnerships have to center around the customer, and that includes the recruitment strategy as well. If you can show the receipts with the customer, then you're halfway, you're basically have fought half the battle already, right? Martin, did you want to add anything to that before you jump into your overview on your partner recruitment strategy?
Basically, it happened what I was afraid of. Justin basically told literally everything. There's so much wisdom and experience in here. I guess what I would double down on is really your best friends are the post-sales teams, so customer success, support teams, customer management team, anybody who works with your existing clients to really see, hey, what are other people who are using your product? What are the customers using along with it? The other way, if you don't have that, or you're pretty much early in your journey, if you're not 20 years in the market or 5 years in the market, just starting, generally the other good idea is, for me, always look at what is the non-natural workflow. So if customer are using your tool, what is the tool or the solution they use before and afterwards? Yeah? So thinking about the customer journey, the typical workflow, it's a little bit like, an Amazon customer who bought this, also bought that. And then you can come up with a story, or you can come up with a use case, and then you can also see, okay, who are these other vendors, and either use cross-BIM reveal or just good old check on the website who are reference clients. And if you're a bit of a lucky punch, you find that mutual customer, which you can then take as an entry, as we just agreed. It's always the best thing if you can already show mutual customers. And then reach out to the customer as well and say, hey, would you love to have a smart integration of our two solutions? Sometimes you don't need integrations. You don't always have to have a roadmap. You don't always have to build an API integration. Sometimes it's just the natural use case. These two solutions or more solutions are just very complementary in how you use them without necessarily the need of an API connection. The other thing I would add to is, if you're not looking on the product side, but more on the channel side, you're looking for channel partners, referral, reseller, something like that. One easy way, which is often overlooked, is look at your customer base. Take a deep dive in your logins and check the email. More often than not, you will find partners disguised as customers, because they know that they want to be a customer even though before you have launched a formal partner program. So if there's anybody who thinks, hey, your product is cool for my customers, they will sign up automatically and have maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 accounts with you if you're not already supporting a partner program. That would be the other thing to look into. Hey, who's already using me?
You had mentioned in your Greatest Minds and Partnerships interview, Martin, that we focus a lot on customer experience and not on partnership experience. Would you say that what you were speaking to is a part of that partner experience, like the things that they're using? And also, how does that partner experience, how do you embed that into your own recruitment strategy? What are you thinking about around partnership experience?
For me, the main point is we all are very exposed to the customer experience model. Make your customer happy and then everything will be fine. But when we think about partnerships, many of my clients are basically say, oh yeah, they get 30% discount, here's a list price, off they go. And that's not a good experience. So why the hell should I be partnering with you if that's all you offer to me? And so the partner experience does start in the recruitment process in a way that you think, hey, is what I'm offering to the partner, is that even attractive for them? Are they ready to team up with me? Is that interesting? What's in for them? And it's a bit more challenging than in sales because it's not transaction. It's not like you give me money and I give you my service. It's like, hey, well, what can we do together to become better, to have a mutual success? So sometimes you need to think a little bit more about, okay, what is it actually? Why would I love to partner with that other company, and why would they love to partner with me?
Yeah, that joint value, definitely. Justin, did you want to add anything around this idea, like of customer experience versus the partner experience, and how do you approach that in your recruitment strategies?
Yeah, so one of the most common questions people ask me is, how do I keep my existing partners engaged in doing things, right? So we find a partner, how do you keep them engaged? And so I go back to, well, you could take the word customer experience and swap it for customer success, and you could take the word partner experience and swap it for partner success. And if you look at the roots of both of those, at the heart of success is understanding, well, what's the need, what's the goal, what are the outcomes your customers need? And then on the same side, it's the same motion, just different audience for partners. And so what I'm seeing, here's a real example, and I don't know how much I can share, but I'll be as transparent as I can. So I know right now, so I'm building a partner marketing campaign across a couple of very large companies, and I'm the smaller of the company. And what I'm learning is, how do I get my partner project a part of these much larger companies' motions? And the way that I've learned it is figuring out that this company has this integration going on their roadmap at this point in time. And so there's going to be, these things that need to happen with these metrics. And so what I've learned is to understand how to be successful with these larger companies. I've got to understand the asymmetry first. Like, I'm a smaller company working with a large company, and so I need to figure out, how do I add what I'm doing to what they're already doing? Don't try to add something new to add to their existing success, because the likelihood as a small player coming into a larger ecosystem, the chances of me like materially impacting the goals that they have is small. But what I can do, and somewhat like a politician, is I can find writers to bills. I can find what's going on inside those companies and those projects and see if I can come up with something that attaches to those existing motions, which are in the case of, like, I would say, a large asymmetry. Now, on the other side of the equation, when I think maybe when it's a little bit more equal, in most of my other more medium-sized to medium-sized partnerships, the success is really simple. Is, they've got a quarterly leads goal that they need to hit. They have a quarterly revenue goal that they need to hit. And so I know that we can put 300, 400, 500 people on a webinar. They can put 300, 400, 500 people on a webinar. So we've got some good audience matching, and we've got some good product alignment. And so for me, it's a really simple equation of customer success and partner success is just having a steady, this is the key to me, is having a steady cadence of weekly or bi-weekly 20-minute meetings that keeps me plugged into the political environment, the roadmaps, the things that change, the ups and downs. And so that way I can understand when and where we can do things together and how much we can do together. And so for me, customer success and or partner success is more of having a regular cadence of listening, observing, and finding out what's needed on their end. And at the same time, then being ready to have something from small, medium, or large to then add to what they're doing.
It's just to add one thing, it's about clear expectations. So being very transparent of what you expect from them and what you can give to them to avoid that there's a misalignment of who does what in a partnership. And I guess this is whether this, it depends again by partner type and size of the partnership. I totally agree with Justin with you on the strategic ones. If you have a lot of channel partners, you probably can't do a bi-weekly 20-minute, but still you should be clear to say, hey, what can I do for you? What do you do for me? And really checking in on that and be transparent again and clear about the expectations to that mutual relationship, because it's a relationship.
You know, I'm going to go find a link right now and share a mutual action plan that I did with the team over at Calabi. And so we have a whole playbook dedicated to aligning with channel partners. Now it's called the end of year channel partner plan, but I think you could start it at the middle of the year too, just, you know, whatever makes sense. And so there's a template and a walkthrough. And so if you guys give me a minute, I'll go find that and drop the link in there. Because I think that's also at the heart of it as well, is having, well, we talk about these things, but where are they written down? Where is the commitment made visible? And what are we working towards?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to keep pointing back also, because I think both of you talk about these kind of action plans very, very clearly in both of your Greatest Minds and Partnerships interviews, which I've put the link to those in the chat. And actually, after tomorrow, I'll be sending everybody that signed up for this a list of resources, everything that we've mentioned, talked about, other resources that you can use to help you with your partnership recruitment strategy. That will all be delivered to you. So keep an eye out for that as well. But yeah, I think coming back to your guys' points about, this idea of sort of being plugged in, but in a way that scales, so we can't be in meetings with every single partner, but if those expectations are aligned at the very beginning, then you not being maybe in a weekly meeting with them will be clear, but you'll still be able to provide those results like Justin was saying. And I'm curious, we haven't had any questions yet, guys, in the chat, and I would love to invite everyone to start sending those too. Otherwise, the three of us are just going to talk our heads off, I think. But just to continue on that point, I'll ask maybe the first question before we get some more questions from the audience. And that is, what do you think, how do you personally, because you both are very busy people working with a lot of different partners and partnership programs, what are some key things that people need to remember when they're trying to make these kinds of operations scalable? Martin, you already shared making sure that that's the expectations are aligned, but what are some other things that we partnership professionals need to be thinking about in terms of scalability?
I think one point, again, more on the channel side probably than on the tech or product partner side, is to be also a bit of selective about your partners and really try to find the way to identify partners who are committed to you just as you are committed to them. Probably also a bit on the integration side. If you want to partner with them, but they don't want to partner with you, it will be very hard. And Justin gave an amazing advice to it, especially if you are the smaller player and you want to get attention of a bigger one, make sure that you pay into their goals, because they will not change their roadmap just because you joined the party. So that would be absolutely my preference, to make sure that the partner is committed to you as you are committed to them. And if that's not, it's like in real life, it's a toxic partnership. Pull out of that and focus on another one.
Absolutely. Justin, did you want to add anything to that as well?
When it comes to scaled partner programs, I'm not like the best person to ask around that. I tend to work with like 10 or 15 like top tight, like best integration agency partners. And so what I have seen on the scale side has come from the affiliate world. And so it's usually not an agency or reseller. And so like anything, at one of my last companies over here, we had, I don't know, 300 or 400 affiliates, but we had 10 that drove mostly all of the revenue. And again, it just kind of always came back to, yeah, we've got our standard like stuff that you could position and sell. And it came down to, having an established brand that was already attracting eyeballs and a great product people were using. And so if you don't have that to start with, then you don't really have a reason for people to like position and sell your product. And so there was a sense of inbound already on the affiliate side. And so we had all kind of the standard, banner ads and emails and stuff. But what it really came down to, again, is the people who drove hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in sales as channel partners / influencers. We worked with them on a one-to-one basis anyways. And so, it really came down to having an affiliate manager managing those relationships, and then me as the content director helping create specialized adaptations of our content or points in our buyer's journey to allow them to position, sell, and come on our show or something like that. And so it just, for me, I'm not the best when it comes to like, a massively like huge channel program. It just has always come down to, top 10 of any class of partner or group or people. And it seems to be that's where I've seen the most success.
I think it's really to find the good process, and then and then you can scale. What I always see is that people buy tools and hope that the tools will fix the process and help scaling. It's not. So you need to fix the process first, and now need to understand what's going on and what's working, and then you can use tools to scale further. But yeah, I agree. Tiering is the other big. I think, Justin, that's the same what you said, right? From 410 were relevant. So really understand who are your top partners, and then maybe look at what do they do, what the others don't do, and can you help others to do the same the successful ones do to make them also successful? Because if you can lift 10 more into this top group, then you have doubled your revenue from affiliate partners.
Right.
Well, it looks like we have some questions.
Yes, we do. Yay. I love questions. So the first one comes from Kia. She asked, what are the biggest challenges you think partnership professionals are going to face this year around recruitment, especially in light of all the layoffs? Do you think that, what do you guys think about that?
I have just a short answer on that is as partnership roles become vacant, there's no one on the other end to answer the call. So I think that's just also becoming clear as like, okay, well, if a company deprioritizes partnerships or limits the resources, the ability to gain access to and work with those companies shrinks.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that will probably end up, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are definitely the experts, but I think it'll come back to that idea of how committed the partner is in the relationship. I mean, if they are willing to really scale back on the partnerships in general and there's no one there to answer the phone, then maybe it isn't the right time or place for a partnership to begin with. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, you have a conversation with a couple of partners and clients who say, a lot of people recognize that ecosystem is the way to get through this maybe tougher times ahead in a better way, to have that network, that ecosystem, which helps everybody in the ecosystem to get through it better. If companies cut out of their own ecosystem people, their own partnership people, then they are probably doing the wrong step, simply said, and that's maybe will not be around anyway in the near future.
I think this actually segues very nicely into James's question, which is the next question. How important is it to establish an internal champion within a larger partner organization?
100% important. Just like probably one of the most important things you can do. I have networked my way inside organizations, and so I call it kind of a safety net. Like you just don't want one point of contact. You don't want just a partner manager. A a little secret I'll share here is I do kind of have two businesses, but they both are based on partnerships. One is my partner marketing consulting business. I'm working with a few SaaS clients. My other one is my Partner Playbooks business, which I guess you can't quite call it a business just yet, but it takes a lot of my time. And the way I'm finding success is I find a particular company, I make one point of contact, I make one friend, and maybe they're in the partnerships department, but then I reach out and tell them I'm working with them, and I talk to the marketing department, and then I talk to the integrations department, and I find like one key person in every one of the departments that might be affected or involved with the partnership, and so all of a sudden those people start to hear your name. In one meeting, in one situation, there's already a familiarity. And so there's somewhat of a diversification. And so maybe not just one key person, but multiple people across an org. That's another strategy that I've used as well to make sure that I have not one single point of failure. If someone, as Shawnee was saying, related to the last question, ends up not working there anymore, which has happened to me. I've had my gosh, that's a whole story in and of itself. I've had to really work super hard after someone no longer worked at a company to bring back a deal. That was a heroic moment.
Yes.
It's partnership is a team sport, but it should be a team sport on both ends. So you should make sure that you connect. Also, you're not the only person in your own company, ideally, but you also have a chance to connect your tech people, your marketing people, where it's useful. So you are the facilitator, the ambassador, but not necessarily the bottleneck. But we have more questions, so set up here.
Yes, and I just want to add from the partner marketing side of things that also applies to what I do. I'm not so much on the recruitment side, but having those champions, multiple champions that are aligned on the goals of whatever the partnership is doing is so huge. But yes, let's move on. So Len asked, what would be your insights on partners that are competitors with each other, that are high performers but want an exclusive relationship with you? Can you avoid choosing one or the other if one top partner tells you to drop the other? That's a great question. Thank you, Len.
Short answer, yes, at all costs, you can avoid that. Exclusivity is never good, never, ever, ever good. And the way to avoid that is, again, it depends on which partner that is, but generally you want to be agnostic. If some partner would like to ask for exclusivity, how do you negotiate that? How do you transfer the message? Number one, you can check if they are exclusive with you, or if they are working with maybe your competitor or other solutions even. Or what we did in the past, we say, okay, if you want to have exclusivity, then these are the revenue expectations we have at you. Can you lift that alone? And ultimately, I don't think there's any market I'm aware of which is so limited that there's not room for 2 or 3 or more players to address that market. So general rule of thumb, I would never go for contractual exclusivity. Again, I did it in the past, big mistake. What you sometimes have can be more like formal, informal exclusivity, but if you just perform better. But if both are high performers, then apparently why would you drop one high performer? How could the other even make that up? That's very unlikely. So I would call the bluff.
Justin, did you want to add to that?
I'm kind of in a similar situation right now, so I'm actually thinking through this on how I might handle it, because I've got 2, maybe 3 similar products that we're talking about doing work with, and so this is something that's actually really close to. And I don't know if they're not being asked for exclusivity, but I've got a really strong, good relationship with one, and then there's this new one that has showed up, and so I'm actually thinking through how I want to do this. And so I don't know if right now is the time for me to think out loud on this, because it's, not necessarily a solid answer, but it is something I'm dealing with as well, as I'm trying to balance, how do you, in my case, balance an existing partnership where one particular company has, and I can't say owned, but has provided that feature, that functionality, and then another one has shown up with a sense of enthusiasm with a similar product, and I'd almost even say better features. And so I'm being swayed by the nature of the relationship and the depth of the relationship versus and in the end I have to think what's best for the customer. I come back to that is like, if this is a better product and it works in a better way for the customer, possibly cheaper, and they're going to get better results for it, I have to put on the advocate of what's best for the customer, because in the end, that's what's really going to matter.
Yeah, this is actually really cool to be able to hear, Martin has been through this already and he has like a really firm stance on it. Justin, you're going through it right now. And this is really the goal of these events, is to just actually share these experiences together and try to answer some questions for folks that join. So thank you for sharing, both of you. And we are at time. There was one more question in the chat. If you guys don't mind, maybe we could just tackle that real quick and then say goodbye. Is that okay with both of you? Okay, so David had asked, do you think that in the current environment, companies may rely more on contract workers to support partnership development rather than adding headcount at this point in time?
I so believe that is true, that actually one of my next meetups is going to be around how, as a partnership person, you might consider taking or shifting, or if you're currently looking for a job, how starting your own role, your own business to provide managed services to these companies is an opportunity. And so, myself, I left, I started my own thing. You heard about Ben Wright. He went and started his own thing. You recently saw Asher. You recently heard about Chris Samila. They left and they went to go start their own things. Now, some of them are in slightly different things around partnerships. I can name 6 or 7 more people who have in the last year realized that either A, the market is shifting towards an environment in which fractional roles, contract roles, are going to be a better outcome for both the individual and the company based on the diversification of risk or de-risking, as well as just the tired of working for a company and having all the risk of somebody being able to turn off your income, your connections, your lifestyle at a moment's notice out of your control. And so I think there's going to be a healthy balance. In fact, I had a conversation with Jay McBain early last week where he's talking about the future of work and this being a big component of that. So my answer is 100% yes. In fact, if you hit up this link I just dropped, one of my next meetups is going to cover this topic of what we've all done and how it might be right for you if you're interested in making some steps towards that, or in a current role and just curious.
Yeah, Martin, did you want to add anything before we say goodbye to everyone?
I think that's fine. I think it's a bit of a mix. Apparently, I hope also for contracting, because that's what I also do. But I think it's a difference on building and developing a partner program or establishing a particular certain type of partnership versus really managing and ongoing supporting partners, because ultimately every business is a people business. So if you're continuously working with partners, you should have this person in-house and not outsource that. So differentiate between building a program, establishing something, and keep operating and running it. I think that should be something where the team should be in-house, because it's ultimately the relations which we build relations for a company, but they are owned by us as persons. If we as a contractor leave the company, the relation leaves the company. I wouldn't allow that as a CEO.
Right. Yeah, it almost boils down to the really getting very clear on the unique goals that that your program has, and if a contractor would be best suited to help you reach those, is basically what I'm hearing. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody. Just a couple of last things to wrap up. We will be sending you all the resources tomorrow. You should get a recording of this probably within the hour, so you can rewatch it, share it, do whatever you'd like with it. If you had a question that didn't get answered, please feel free to reach out to us. I know that these guys are always on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn. You have all of our contact information, so feel free to ask those questions to us. And also, if you're interested in more learning materials, please join us again for our next roundtable, which will be on March 2nd with Don Osborne and Sean Lee from Flip. And we will also be releasing the Kiflo Academy next week. So you'll have courses that you can go through on things like partner recruitment and everything else, partner marketing, scaling your partner program. We have a lot of great stuff there for you. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Justin. As always, it is such a pleasure. You guys are amazing. and we will see everyone very soon. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.